Time to go. Time to go. Time to go to the after show. Dragons.
After show, re-released, remastered. Come now. Dragons and stuff and things. We're back. It's After Show, Dragon Edition, at least for the foreseeable future. How's it going, everyone? Yeah. It's time to go. Time to go to the After Show. Here we are in our brand new little domain all around us. I hope you enjoy the new furnishing.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time redecorating the place.
Yeah, it's way more. It's way less sad, I suppose, the way to think. Like way less droll, way less drab.
Yeah.
A little more in your face, a lot more color.
Really, I wanted, we wanted to brighten up the place a little bit.
And that's exactly what we did. We think, what do we want? We want fire. We want poison. We want electricity. I wonder what could do all of those things. And here we are. We're talking Rise of Tiamat, y'all. We are continuing our one-on-one adventures with official published modules by Wizards of the Coast. And this is our first episode of Rise of Tiamat. So, in case any of you are not...
the first episode of Rise of Tiamat, the after show.
That's what I was getting into. So for those of you that are familiar with our Curse of Strahd after shows, we did them at the end of each episode. However, we found that sometimes where, especially like the episodes where not a whole lot happened, there was just a whole lot of like maybe not a whole lot to discuss and talk about. So rather than doing that, we decided to shake things up a bit. And rather than, and keep the after show going, but at the end of every level. So every time you see one of these, the lovely player over to my right, or maybe left, depending on where you're orientated. I don't know how it works on your screen, Nola, but
you're on my left on my screen.
Okay, but you're right. You're over there for me. And yeah, so every time, exactly. So every time you see one of these, she will progress. So we started this campaign at level 8 because this is a high tier campaign. And now you are level 9. And it's happening so fast. 3 sessions have gone by. 3 sessions, and it already feels like it's going by so incredibly quickly. Like you have already leveled up. You've already gone through like a lot of like the major things, the introductions, and then now you're like on to the first mission, like real mission of the module.
Well, I mean, for us, it feels like a lot more has happened than what's happened on stream because Kai and I have done a few session zeros with our characters before the stream. So for us, it feels like we've been playing these characters for a lot longer time. Than what's online.
Yeah, that's actually like a really good point and a really great place to start. Like these people's stories started long before the stream started, just because like we got really into them and we wanted to like build up the camaraderie and like feel out these characters. Also because these characters are like a little on the darker side, and we wanted to poke at that and see how that felt. And we did a lot of testing, and in those tests we got a unicorn blessing, which was brought up a little bit in like the most recent episode. We got the very first consumption of a dragon heart, which recently came into the most recent episode as of the recording.
Right, because we've eaten one dragon heart off stream.
Yeah.
Off stream.
Yeah, and then
that was an experience.
Yeah, then you just ate one. I mean, everything else was basically just talking, like exploring Arazoth's and Phelan's relationship, and how they got to where they are, and how they started like the starting point of what we wanted the campaign to be. So we kind of like played out their backstory and things like that. So I'm sure those stories will come to fruition, like to the forefront sometime, like in RP moments. So won't spoil those, but we some juicy stuff happened, some real memorable things, and Galley boy howdy. These two's dynamic, I mean, from the get-go, and I'm so stoked with how that very first episode like went with Arazoth being the damsel. Like that was just like the classic start of
not just a damsel, a drugged up, like almost like a pathetic damsel, like I have to save him. It's not like, no, I have to help him. She's like, oh my gosh, Arazoth.
Yeah.
I have to save him again.
Yep. And then, yeah, it's just you going down to save him, and then the introduction with you basically destroying this Xanathar Syndicate drug den, and Arazoth coming out after being tortured and like kicking the door down, and you fighting the Cyclops and that whole thing. Like, it was
And then I slap him across the face.
Yeah. And and that was such a shift, right? Like, as soon as that slap happened, it was like instantly that contrast of like, yeah, like we're here, we're having fun, we're killing things, and then instantly that established both, like, I want to say the strain. Like, that's the word that comes to mind, is like the strain between the two of them and the story and how they're doing is like that slap was heard around the world to me. It was like, okay, like, and in that one moment, instantly, like, the weight of everything that was happening around them and the weight between them, it was established just that one little thing you did. And I thought that was really cool.
I mean, you could argue that they have a love-hate relationship.
You could say that. I don't know who would, but yeah, but it's interesting. If I could sum it up in a word, their relationship, even from like the very beginning, from the start, from the design, is interesting. Like, it's all over the place, but it also like makes sense in a weird, chaotic way, which is like kind of what we were going for. Like, it's unlike any NPC relationship that I have ever had. It's like one of those things where, you know, being forced in the same situation with someone that you may not necessarily have spent time with otherwise has been really, really fun to explore with you, and it's been a blast.
Yeah, and if you guys didn't know, so both of us created Arazoth together, but I wrote his. Like, I wrote a short story, which you guys might be able to hear in the Discord.
Yep.
You know, I wrote the short story. I actually wrote two, but the second one I need to rewrite. But anyway, and in that short story, I wrote Arazoth the way that I imagined him, and then he developed into the character that he is today. Mm-hmm. I remember you did have one interpretation of him where he was just like a straight up spoiled brat for a little bit, and then I was like, okay, like, less spoiled brat. That was
the very first session that we played, because because that was the thing, right? Is like, when we are playing this relationship, it's so important that we get the dials right, and that was like the biggest reason why we played like freaking dozens of hours off stream before we started, was because when you are building such like a despicable character as someone that you're always going to be with, you need to get that dial just right. Otherwise, it's gonna suck and it's gonna be annoying. So I remember that first session, and like I was like, and the session ends. All right, what did you think? It's like, turn it down a notch. And like those whole sessions, like off stream, and this is why we did it off stream, because like Arazoth in particular and Phelan to a large extent also like went all over the place. Like, one session would end like them being one way, and then we'd start the next session and they'd be radically different. And because we were just experimenting with their dynamic, where we wanted them to be, and the characters that they were, and also just like mostly how they were going to play off of each other when the campaign started. And and it's cool.
And the thing with them is, so Phelan is very different from Serena. Serena is kind of your typical, you know, nice heroine, and she's kind and sweet, and you know, always tries to do the good thing, whereas Phelan isn't always necessarily like that. And because Phelan and Arazoth are sometimes antagonistic, we had to make sure that they were still likable, even when they were being despicable sometimes. They had to be the kind of characters where, like, you love to hate them. Or even when you hate them, you still love them.
Yeah, sympathetic, I think, is like, like you need...
Anti-heroes.
Yeah. Like both the audience and like you and me, right? Like, we need to want these people to win, because like if we didn't want them to win, then imagine like playing these characters, right? Like if we were like, these people are awful, like what? that would just be, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work in the context of this, especially like with the way that Rise of Tiamat works, like you needing to be like the hero to rise up against like the apocalypse, basically. And going back just like for a quick second, like the reason why we decided to do it this way was because by the end of Curse of Strahd, for those of you that saw that, basically how I decided to balance the combat encounters was just to add a lot of NPC companions, but by the end of Curse of Strahd, it got insane. It was
overwhelming, the amount of people that Kai was playing compared to me.
Yeah, like it was one of those things where on my turn I needed to do the enemies, and then you would like the Curse of Strahd fight. I think you spent more time waiting than you did fighting because like okay, all of the NPCs need to go, and Kai is literally just narrating what is happening, and then I do a thing, and then like another 20 minutes goes by of Kai narrating what happens, and
Kai's freaking out like
because that's how it was about. Like it was about you, and I wanted to focus on that, and Curse of Strahd got redonkulous at the end. Except for Scott. Scott was awesome. Now that we've done that, we introduced the Fury and Resolve system that you have seen like remnants of like her doing abilities and buffing herself at the expense of leaning into her draconic nature or her human nature. And we introduced legendary actions to kind of give her more control over the battlefield rather than me introducing NPCs to have turns. And so far, I think it's been working like really well. Like that was another thing like we needed to tune. Like how's it feeling for you? Like you've played like one whole level through, and then of like us balancing it, because of course like we tuned it, we balanced it off stream, but like this is basically like the first level that we've done with it basically remaining static. We've tweaked it like slightly, but for the most part it's been the same. So like how are you liking it so far relative and in comparison to Curse of Strahd?
I'm really enjoying it so far. I love that Phelan is completely OP. Like as far as sorcerers go, like, so if you guys don't know, Phelan has all of her sorcerer powers and abilities. She's a, draconic sorcerer. She's very human. She gets all of her stuff. But in addition to that, Kai and I created a draconic fury system where she has fury and resolve that she has to balance with each other. And both can give certain powers and abilities, but neither can get too high. Because she can let it get too high and get super powerful, but then something may happen if that's the case. So we developed that system as well to give her some more options. We designed Arazoth and Phelan to be able to have the powers and abilities of a full party by themselves. So that's why Kai graciously gave Phelan and Arazoth all these superpower abilities.
Yeah.
I feel buff.
Yeah, you should feel buff. You took on, I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Like this most recent fight, I guess, just proved how buff you really are. Like, but getting ahead of ourselves, like turning back the clock a little bit.
Episode 1.
Like her buffness and her intensity was really mostly proven in an off-stream thing, which I guess we can kind of talk about, with her taking on an army of cultists and basically the entirety of like the Flaming Fist, like by herself. There were some like really amazing moments, which again may come up, but like she built up the reputation and to find her patron, and then that is where her nomination to become champion of the Council of Waterdeep came from, and that's where we started. We came in with that nomination already coming through, and then her introducing herself to the League of like the most extraordinary heroes on the Sword Coast, which God bless America, I really could have done that better. Freaking the council is such like a cool idea, but
the council meeting. The council meeting was interesting.
So it's cool. Like, so for the council meeting is basically made of like the head honchos, the leaders all across the Sword Coast, to deal with this oncoming apocalyptic threat of the chromatic dragons invading, and everyone on that council has so much history, and I had to do like reading into all of them and like get a sense of like the personality and how I would interpret them, and then I had to interpret it with gameplay and let things off with like the interpersonal dynamics that had happened with some of the people that she was familiar with the leader of the Flaming Fist was there, who she never met, but she had experienced the Flaming Fist before. And then you had Remy making an appearance, a character from your backstory, and like all this stuff, and then just screwing it up royally.
It's fine. You have more council meetings.
It's true.
In the future.
It's not the only one.
Yeah.
But that episode was that council meeting, I should say, was rough. After the council meeting was done, things kind of picked up steam a little bit, and we had a wonderful moment with the other champion, getting introduced to that. And I think that Phelan had a wonderful like finding experience with that duel. Like even though like it didn't it wasn't like it didn't end up the way that she wanted it. Like I was still like really. It was still really exciting for me to see how she reacted to that.
I think it was a really interesting moment.
Yeah. For
discovering about her, like she's a champion, I'm a champion, we should be equal, but we're not. Yeah, like and that also gives her like another goal to think about, you know, this rival that she's created in her own mind, pretty much. That she always has this person that she has to compare herself to. It's just like next time I fight her, I'm gonna destroy her.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was so freaking cool. Like I loved
so competitive all of a sudden.
And also like vulnerable, and like really got a sense of how like self-conscious she is. Like it happened in such like an organic way where like we got to see the vulnerable Raylan, and then Arazoth kind of got to go in and
Raylan?
Phelan. Yes. Sorry. Raylan is a character in another campaign I'm
playing.
Who
is she?
I apologize.
Who is she?
DM calls out another player's name in an after show.
How
dare you? But yeah, watching Phelan be that, like, show that side of herself, and like that little hint, like that little dot, and the conversation that Arazoth had while they were just like drinking an entire bottle of wine together. That was really, it was powerful for me. Like
it was a nice moment. Yeah.
And even though like I could actually like feel like the anger fumes off of you also, like
I was frustrated.
Like not just Phelan, but off of Nola, just being like, this was intense. And you know, not to cover my own ass, but it was like, hey, you should probably bring Arazoth into this fight too, because this person is real strong. And then
no,
and then you're like, nope. I was like, oh, I was like, okay. And then that led to this moment, and it was awesome. And it's like, I guess that goes to show like your also like general like proficiency as a player, because it takes a certain like skill to turn a bad situation into like an interactive and an interesting one. Like even if like in the situation like where you the player may not be feeling the best or like are frustrated, to turn that and warp it into something that you are excited about and that you can work with, that takes skill. So like, well done with that. That was really, really cool.
Thanks. I mean, for me it's all about story. You know, you can't have a story that's always great things happening and cool things happening. Sometimes you have to, well, I mean, it's not cool, but sometimes you have to have moments where you do have frustrations, or things don't go your way, and you lose sometimes. And that, you know, that adds more depth to the characters and the story itself. And from that, you know, Phelan has a rival that she wants to beat.
Yeah. And then that led to probably the climax of the most recent episode, where she went off on her merry way, rolled real well on the navigation, so found the place like very quickly, and then rolled real well on the navigation again to find like the village and the location of the lair.
Yeah,
very
98
quickly.
or 99 out of 100 or whatever.
And then to top it all off, we rolled a percentile dice for a random encounter. And the mate of the dragon that has this domain is here. Like, oh my god.
And we kill it.
And then you killed it after doing a wonderful reconnaissance stealth mission and fighting this thing through a roaring blizzard, and just before it escaped, singeing it to death. And
hunting it down after it tries to fly away.
Exactly.
I'm like, I am not letting you fly off. Okay, you are not gonna fly off. Go tell your boyfriend about what the heck's happening here, and then we have to fight both of you. No, I'm gonna save myself a whole session and kill you now.
Yep. Okay. And that was exactly it. Like, and had that fireball not hit, basically she was going to be out. Like, it was like one of those things where like you had like a couple things left and she had like 16 hit points. Actually, she had 16 hit points left. And I still have the numbers right here. She landed at 184 and she had 200. Having that moment where she would have been away, like she would have been able to outfly you, and then that would have been it. So like that was your last chance to like really get that blow, and then you did. And then we got to experience the fruit of our labors relative to having that rival and that lust for power and giving into the bestial urges that dwell within her with being linked to Arozoth, which again, so cool. Like, these characters are so dark, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that, we play Curse of Strahd, but these characters are like darker than once we had that campaign.
Yeah, it's true. At Curse of Strahd, you had the darkness all around them and then the light to contrast. In this game, you have like we
are the darkness,
exactly,
and everything else.
Exactly. You have like a high fantasy, like dragon background, and then the central darkness all around you that's like, I will kill you and then eat you afterward.
Yeah, I know.
And then you gained permanent fury and draconic features, and I'm so excited about that.
Apparently I got legendary resistance
Yeah. You have one
automatically.
You have one legendary resistance. So that means that basically once per day, you can choose to succeed on a saving throw where you instead would have failed. Once per long rest.
Choose to succeed a saving throw?
Yeah, where you would fail. So if you like make a save and you fail it, you could be like, I use my legendary resistance to succeed, and you get one of those per long rest.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, you're turning more and more into a dragon as you lean into this, and
no. Although, here's the thing. So this is the second dragon heart that Arozoth and Phelan have consumed, and I have to be careful because if I eat too many of these, she's gonna start changing. She's gonna become more dragon-like.
Yeah, she's losing her humanity.
Yeah. Does anything happen to her resolve? Or no?
Nope.
Okay.
It's more the resolve. There's a different way to upgrade that, and you haven't figured it out quite yet. But there is a way to upgrade your resolve too. The dragon one was the only one that we discovered like pre-session. The resolve is one that is more akin to, like saving the orphans and helping the kingdom around you. So
that's what I assumed. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you assume that. So like that means that it's intuitive. So that's a sign of good design. So yay.
Yeah. But I don't plan on eating all of the dragon hearts because I don't know how many dragons there are on this campaign.
A lot.
But yeah, probably a lot. She's not gonna eat all of them. Like that. I don't know. I mean, on one hand, she would definitely get stronger. She would have permanent fury. That'd be great. But if it gets too high, it's going to be harder for me to build resolve to counteract it.
That's exactly it. Like, you're going to need to keep that thing in check. And that's exactly what it's supposed to represent. Like, you giving up your humanity and becoming more and more dragon-like. And the way that the resolve table looks, that essentially means like, by the time, like, if you got to the end, like, you have everything, and then having that buffed up, like, I think it's safe to predict what would happen to you if you ever got to that point. Which, again, I think would be pretty cool. Like, it would not say that it wouldn't be cool. It would just.
It would be cool.
It would just
be
bad for everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, wait. Okay, so, in theory, Tiamat is a dragon. So,
if you wanted to consume the heart of Tiamat.
What if we were to consume the heart of Tiamat?
That's an interesting.
Could happen.
That's an interesting question. And
Does she become dragon goddess?
Almost as if that's part of my design. That final choice. What you are going to do with the heart of Tiamat.
That's a scary thought.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And what Arazoth will do in that moment.
I know Arazoth's gonna eat that. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That'd be the best thing in the world. He'd become a dragon god. Every dragon will bow down to him. That's.
It'll be interesting, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be very interesting.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. We've got a long ways away to that. And who knows? Maybe you'll stop Tiamat from arriving. Maybe you'll just thwart everything, and we won't even have a Tiamat fight.
I mean, honestly, with my rules, that might happen. With the rules, if the rules that happen during this third session happen during that final fight, probably will. Yeah. We'll just prevent her from showing up anyway. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
We solved everything. Go home, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we get to the fun part of the after show where we talk like theories and abstract things, or like future plans or things like that. I know you just leveled up, so I guess we can start with that. Like, what'd you take? Like, what's your level up things?
Okay, so for level 9, you don't get that much. For level 9 sorcerer, proficiency bonus goes up. Sorcery points go to 9. You get a 5th level spell.
Mm-hmm. Which is huge.
So 5th level spell's huge.
5th level is where spells start getting crazy.
Basically, do I want telekinesis? Because if people don't know, Phelan has the telekinetic feat.
Yeah, she's a psychic. Like that was her human thing before the draconic thing got collided as like her human side, and like the parts like she's like a very powerful psychic, but also she's got this dragoness, and like both of those things collide to make her character. It's like it's pretty cool, if I do say so myself.
It's pretty cool, yes. And so I'm really thinking like maybe I should get telekinesis, because that just it suits her character so well. Mm-hmm. So well. It fits so well into her character. She already has a telekinetic mage hand. She already like has the feat. And so for her powers to develop, I'm like, oh, now she just has a stronger control of her telekinetic abilities. Then that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I could do that, or I could grab, creation is an option, but I don't know. I feel like that could be really scary. Bigby's hand, of course.
Classic.
Bigby's hand. There's also this other spell, Synaptic Static, and I'm tempted to grab it. It's basically a psychic fireball,
which would also lead into the psychic thing.
Yeah.
It would just be basically a combat only use versus like telekinesis, which could be an out of combat thing.
Which you can use anytime.
Same thing with Bigby's hand. Like Bigby's hand's also pretty.
It's pretty versatile as well.
Yeah. Well, decisions. Kid in a candy store.
I know.
Well, apparently, since you haven't decided that, we can go into like questions and theorizing, and like I've got some questions for you, and maybe you've got questions or theories for me. So far, 3 sessions in, we worked really hard on establishing this love-hate relationship with Arazoth and Phelan.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling about it? You feel like it's in a balanced, good place? You feel like it should go like a little more one way? I feel like it should go a little more the other? How are you feeling?
I think I think it's going good. Not gonna lie, I think the relationship was closer when we were off stream, and I think we're just kind of warming up to it like on stream. But
I think that's that. If I'm being honest, it's so we did a lot of like really intimate and like real like moments off stream, and I think like having a camera there is just something that we're slowly needing to warm up to, at least for me.
Right.
Like
same.
Like, yeah, because I noticed that too. Where like we were very blatant with our language about what happens and about what's happening. And I think that just knowing that people are watching, that it's recorded, it's different. And so
It is
I think we both know where we want it to be and where we want it to sit. But I think I can definitely say that for me, like I definitely feel like a little self-conscious. So like I've just been, I've been like a little shy. We can work on that together. We can be like, no, Kai, what happens? Don't shy away from it. Like,
give us every detail.
Exactly.
Okay?
That's not what Arazoth does, and you know it. Okay, he. Yeah, exactly. And but also, that's like growing things for us, like as streamers, right? It's like being getting a chance to like really be that vulnerable on stream. But it's totally different with just like us hanging out off screen. It's a different thing. So
right.
I'm really looking forward to expanding on that, and that's something that we can work on together.
Yeah.
Great answer, by the way. Actually, really good answer. Do you feel like, relative to where Curse of Strahd started, like the first 3 episodes, arriving in the village, and then Doru, and then the card reading. Like those were the first 3 episodes.
Right.
3 episodes of Rise of Tiamat have gone by. How are you feeling in contrast from this module, from Curse of Strahd to this?
I mean, episode 3 of Rise of Tiamat versus episode 3 of Curse of Strahd. I mean, Rise of Tiamat, I mean, it came in swinging. We didn't have our first, like, major battle in Curse of Strahd until around episode 10. Like, with Amelia. I think, was that episode 10 or 11 or 12, somewhere in that ballpark?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And so we didn't have our major battle with her until episode like 10 or 12. And then Rise of Tiamat, bam, we already knocked it right out in episode 3, and we'll have another one with the second dragon. But like, dang.
So I guess that answers my question. Because it's low level, it's low tier adventure versus high level tier, like horror versus like a high fantasy adventure. So like in totally like a different vibe, and like you said, like come out swinging, like we are already like in this big epic fight. Whereas the Curse of Strahd, you spent like most of your time running and like acting in fear of the things that are around you, and
the dogs trying to kill us.
And like almost and like I think Curse of Strahd had like a lot more like human moments, just because everyone was like together and because they needed to be, like it was about survival. Whereas like Phelan is like
everyone's scared.
Yeah, he's like Phelan is like, I am the thing you should be. I'm the one who knocks.
Yeah, right.
So like it's totally a different feel, and I'm wondering like just relative to like, you know, macro like feel, like with like genre and tiers of play and everything, because like I don't think you've ever played a this high tier before, if I'm not mistaken.
I have, but at the end of campaigns, not at the beginning of campaigns.
Okay, so you've experienced this before, but yeah, I'm just curious. Like,
yeah, like I've gone up to, I think my highest ever was level 12.
Okay, well then, if that's the case, then you are very familiar with this. They both have their merits, of course, but like 3 episodes in, Rise of Tiamat getting the W with.
Yeah, I give it a thumbs up.
Okay, excellent.
Like you should with this video.
Do it. Any theories or questions?
Do you like how I very subtly threw that into the video?
So subtle. That was so subtle.
Yeah.
Five
That's how you gotta get them.
Yeah.
That's how you gotta get them.
Five out of 5 subtlety.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions or theories or anything for DM for these first 3 episodes?
Yeah, so when is Phelan's super mega ultra crush gonna show up?
Spoilers.
Ooh.
So for those of you that don't, we talked about it a little bit, like we nodded at it during the council meeting, but since that meeting was hot trash, I suppose I'll go at it again. Yeah, Phelan's got like a little bit of a crush. And it's someone famous. It's a celebrity, and
it's not Arazoth.
And it's not Arazoth.
I mean, she does like him too. I mean, okay,
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Their relationship's weird. Sometimes they're like, it's like they're like friends, and sometimes they like hate each other, they're like total enemies, and sometimes they like bang. But like sometimes it's like it's just weird. It's like sometimes I don't know.
Yeah, it is absolutely one of those things, and I think that also like plays like the realness of it, you know, like it's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's not perfect.
Yeah, I love them. Yeah. I love them in a from like a pure like analytical standpoint. I think they're really complicated and they've got so many places to go, especially relative to Phelan's crush, who will. I'll say this: I think it's safe to say you're in the frigid, frozen North Sea moving ice. He's not here. I'll tell you that much.
Dang it! I was hoping to meet him next session.
Nope. You're not going to go into like a random room or like the village. He's just living amongst the villagers.
And there it is. There he is.
He's doing a winter abroad, you know, a spring abroad.
Yeah.
You just happen to stumble across him in the
in the frigid cold.
You know, he's not like he's a prince or anything. He doesn't got stuff to do.
Shh. What do you mean?
Oh, spoilers. Maybe I'll censor that. Maybe I'll bleep that out.
Well, you can, or you don't have to. Whatever you decide.
Well, any other spicy questions or things you want clarification on, or any theories that you want to throw out there as the player? Because of course, like the concept has been introduced. The world's on fire.
I mean, it's hard for me to theorize too much because apparently there's this horn that's summoning all these dragons to be like, hey, what's up? Tiamat's coming back. Help. And then they're like, okay. And then we have this dragon cult also facilitating this whole thing. We have to stop this cult in these dragons from summoning Tiamat. That's it. I don't think there's any major theories to go about it, except for, so obviously the wizard that was on the white dragon's back, I'm just gonna make a wild guess and say that was her former partner, Melthorond, and he died, but she just decided to keep his corpse on her back.
So that's
for fun.
So that's your theory, is that she kept him on the back for fun. Solid theory there, Nola. Solid theory.
I assume she just left him there because, you know, they were friends and he died somehow, or maybe she killed him and decided to just leave him there because she's crazy. I don't know. It could be.
Can neither confirm nor deny that.
Oh, okay.
Though I do know that this adventure is just getting started. We've I think that's basically it, right? Like,
I think that's it.
Yeah, like I think we're golden. Like, first level, well done. We're moving at a real good pace, and at this rate, we're Gucci. We're good. Actually, we're moving at an incredibly fast pace. I didn't think that we were going to be leveling up till at least next session, but that's what happens when you play D&D. Sometimes you're just like, and that's it. Well,
yeah, sometimes, you know, in episode 2 you roll horribly, and sometimes in episode 3 you roll every roll.
So, Arazoth and Phelan, the two unsuspecting souls bound together by dark magics that they can't undo, find their way through the world that is crumbling around them in hopes of figuring out a way to sever this tie. They're changing, they're growing, and the world is changing with them. And the influence that they will leave behind them will definitely be remembered for a long time to come. And if you want to see more about what this is, and if you want to come with us on this wonderful adventure, tune in every other Saturday at 6.
Twitch.tv.
Yeah. I was on the side. Twitch.tv/RoleCallrp, down below, and at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And come and party with us. It's a good time. We have fun. There's dragon slaying. It's a good time.
It's pretty good.
Wow. Thank you everyone so much for watching. You all are fucking awesome, and you're welcome to hang out with us anytime. Cheers.
See y'all later. Like, comment, subscribe. Okay? If you haven't already. Otherwise, a dragon's gonna barbecue you.